Welcome to the NBA Triple Double Show powered by SportsMemo. I am your host, Ronald Cabang, also known as UCapper on SportsMemo.com and on Twitter at U_Capper. We do have a three games to break down today. We also have three cappers on the panel to break them down for you, but it is time to talk about some promos here. First, it is Monday, so it's $9 Monday over at SportsMemo.com. Every Monday from your favorite cappers, your picks and packages are all $9 on the website. So head over there for that daily, for that weekly Monday, $9 Monday package there. And we also have a Thanksgiving special here. It's a 7-day all access pass for any handicapper for $69. That's under $10 per day. And that's about the same price, I believe, as a 3-day all access package as well. And there is no coupon needed for this one. You could choose as many services as you like. This Thanksgiving special will be available through Cyber Monday, which is November 28th. Again, that's $69 for a 7-day all access package from any of your favorite cappers over at sportsmo.com. So head over to the website after the show and snatch up some deals. With that said, let's bring the panel up in here. We got Matt and Dr. Chuck in the building. I took a day off yesterday from the NBA, trying to recuperate and refresh. Today I have some nice looks on the board. I have not posted them up yet, but we'll do so after the show here. And I think a couple of the games that we'll be talking about here might be on the premium card for me. How was your guys' weekend?
I'll shoot it off. So for me, it was solid. It really wasn't that bad. I went 4-3 in the NBA. I went 4-1 in the NFL. So pretty happy with how the weekend went. Took the UFC off. The only play that I had with the UFC was going to be the main event that got canceled. And again, not forcing plays. Wanted to take a day off and just focus on NFL and not really bounce around from sports. But like you said, really liking this card right here. And a lot of the losses that I've had have been 0.5 player prop losses that have happened with injuries. Literally, LaMelo Ball was a 0.5 loss with an ankle. I might be a curse, literally. So LaMelo Ball's 0.5 loss to an ankle injury where he stepped on a fan's foot. The next day, we have Tyrese Halliburton, like 1 minute left in the game. I think they were up 4 when it happened, and he gets hurt and leaves the game as well. He still needed 3 points to cover for us, but when you're the point guard and you're up in the game, there's always that foul possibility. You never know what can happen. But again, just stabbed in the back twice in a row. So I'm ready for some good luck to come.
Yeah, man. The last couple of weeks, a lot of the L's have been like 3-point losses, 2-point losses. It's been sucky. So just gotta get refreshed. Dr. Chuck, how was your weekend?
Yeah, not terrible. I can't complain. I did a little bit better in the NBA, so I'm glad that I'm on this show. I just had one play in college hoops, and it pushed. And I had one hockey play, and it won. NFL was up and down, decent with the props, but trusting the Broncos too much was I don't know. I couldn't believe it. I was all over your boy Ron, thinking that he needed a change in voice in his head, and they still look like garbage. And that didn't help at all either. So the Broncos somehow steal another loss from a victory yet again. And but we swept NBA last night, went 2-0. So we're looking to parlay that into more winning today.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Well, shout out to the chat here. We got Chris and Mitch in the building. Let's get started then. First game here, the Hawks and the Cavs. Hawks are 10-6, a hard-fought OT win over the Raptors on Saturday. They were shorthanded. The Raptors were shorthanded there. DeJounte played 40 minutes. DeAndre Hunter played 45. Trey played 41. So they played some heavy minutes there for those top 3 guys over in Atlanta. They do face another team here that's on a second leg of back-to-back games, though. The Cavs are 10-6 on the season. They won 2 straight games. They smashed the Heat yesterday by 26, 113-87. No starter played over 30 minutes, but this will be their third home game in 4 nights. Do we see some tired legs tonight? What do you as far as like injuries too? Bogdanovic is out for the Hawks. I think DeAndre Hunter was just added to the injury list with illness. We'll see if he plays. And for the Cavs, Rubio and Windler are out. Wade and Kevin Love are both questionable, I believe. I don't think they played yesterday, but they're questionable tonight. So maybe that's a step in the right direction for those guys. LeVert got hurt yesterday, didn't return. So we'll see if those guys are active. Dr. Chuck, what are your thoughts on this one here?
Yeah, I was going to mention two things. You just nailed it to preface this game. It's awesome. Hunter just got added. I would assume that doesn't bode well for him playing. I think Levert and Love, from what I'm hearing, are not likely to play. I would cap this game no matter what. I would go into it. Now, I didn't think of this with Hunter pre-show, so Hunter is a little bit of new news if that's going to maybe affect something on the defensive end of the ball, which I think Matt and Ron both are excited about. So
Yeah.
I up here in Ohio, I mean, this is the first time the Hawks have been here since that play-in game. And, they eliminated the Cavs. The Cavs had a dream season last year, and it all, crumbled kind of there at the end of March and April. And they unfortunately ended up in the play-in, which cost them because that playoff experience of Trey came to town and, took them out. I don't think this team forgets that, and I think they can get Spida on board. As Ron said, nobody played any minutes. Evan Mobley was the only guy that played 30-plus minutes last night. They just absolutely dismantled the Heat after what looked like, their defensive rating was hemorrhaging out during that losing streak where they were like 120 plus. They've gotten it back where the Cavs like to live with a defensive rating under 100. And I guess maybe I'm looking at something wrong. What is the line? You guys, is the line -2 Cavs? I thought it was, for some reason I thought it was -2 Hawks. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's Cavs. I think it might be even 2.5.
It looks like it's Cavs.
Okay. So my bad. I think I probably would have. So I would probably lay home court advantage in this spot. I don't like the Hawks defense. I think the Cavs are motivated and turned it around and, just looked phenomenal the last two games. I mean, the Heat are no great shakes at this point in the season. So, and keeping guys on the court for them. So maybe you can't make a whole lot of, basically ending the game against the Heat by halftime. But I have a lean that I like, which is specifically Cavs first half. I would be on the Cavs full game probably. I think maybe you would want to go money line there just to be safe. But I want to hear what these two have to say about the total, because I already can tell you that I lean in their direction and more because of the Cavs. But we talk about the Hawks every time I'm on the show, and I'm either completely right or dead wrong.
No,
and
right.
So I hope that I'm not dead wrong on what we get from them tonight. But I think the Cavs maybe wire to wire this, with the Hawks just a little more tired legs and the Cavs more motivated. And I don't think you can put out of your heads that Garland and Mobley and Jared Allen and those types had their season ruined and on their home court last time they faced this team.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about it. I think the home court advantage here will be pretty solid, because I don't think the Hawks really are that great on the road. Cavs are pretty solid at home. So, Matt, what are you thinking on the side perspective here, or if you have anything on the total?
So, yeah, I kind of actually like a little bit of both. My favorite play here is definitely going to be the total, and we'll get into that. But I actually do lean the Cavs as well. The Hawks are coming off a 2-game homestand and coming off a win against the Raptors, who were kind of beat up. And now the Cavs are back on track after winning 2 in a row, after dropping 5 in a row. So I do think part of that was the Darius Garland getting slided back into that lineup. You got to get that synergy going again. And he had to get his game going again. He's playing incredible basketball as well. And, this is one of those matchups where it's going to be centered around the guard play. And I do think both of these teams somewhat mirror each other pretty well. You got Jared Allen, Clint Capella. And then you got guys like Donovan Mitchell, and on the other side, you got Trae Young, DeJounte Murray. So, I really do like the look of this, but the guy that I'm centering on here is Trae Young, because I think he can very much be exposed with this Cleveland Cavaliers team, with Darius Garland in that high pick and roll, with Donovan Mitchell in that high pick and roll where he can step back and take a three, or he can run that pick and roll and get Jared Allen involved, or, whoever it may be. I do. I like the look of the Cavs here, and I do think that Donovan Mitchell can go off and have a pretty good game here against Trae Young. He's someone that I'm looking at hard with the point props, and then on top of that, Darius Garland. I think he might have a good assist prop in this matchup because, again, anytime someone is matched up with Trae Young and you have good guard play, you have the ability to come and run that high pick and roll. I really like it from that Cleveland Cavaliers side because, again, I think he's someone that can be very much exposed. And then when you look at these two teams together, plus the revenge factor, plus the Hawks going on the road after the 2-game homestand, I just like the look of this Hawks team, but I think I like the look of this over even more. I do think there's going to be a lot of points scored here, back to that revenge factor. So I think both teams will come to play. These are two talented teams. These are two teams who have a lot of guard play. Offensive rebounds are going to be a possibility for both squads. So I definitely lean the over in this one, but if I were to pick a side, I would be with the Cavs here. I think these are very similar style teams, and the Cavaliers are just better overall.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense here. I think I'm with you guys here on that Cavs look as well. It would be a slight lean to the Cavs here for me. They are on the second game of back-to-back home games, but none of the starters played heavy minutes yesterday. And to me, I think they have a deeper team. Trae, DeJounte played heavy minutes a couple nights ago. DeAndre Hunter, and it looks like from the chat that DeAndre Hunter is doubtful, so more likely to not play this tonight. And their second unit hasn't been good all season long, so with them lacking on the with their depth and the Cavs sort of kind of being in a position to where they would probably see some value on their side with the back-to-back line. But I think with them not having played heavy minutes yesterday, I don't think it's going to affect them too much. So I would lean towards them here on the side perspective. From a total perspective, I will break that down a little bit more during my best bet section. I am going to be on the over on that one, and I'll talk about it more in the best bet section. But let's move on over to the Heat and Wolves here. Heat are 7-10. They've lost 3 straight games. They lost last night to the Cavs, who we just talked about, by 26 points. This is their third road game in 4 nights, last of a 4-game road trip as well. Wolves are 8-8. They are starting to click a little bit. This is their first game home from a 4-game road trip. And each one of those wins were against teams who were kind of shorthanded here. Cavs, the game against the Cavs, they didn't have Mitchell or Allen, no Mobley either. The Magic, they didn't have Banchero, Cole Anthony, Wendell Carter, and a few other guys. The Sixers didn't have Maxey, Harrison, Harden. So some of these wins, I don't know how we can take them, at face value there. But now they face another Heat team that's struggling with injuries as well. Butler, Oladipo, and Yurtseven are all out. Gabe Vincent, Tyler Herro, I think they could be back today from their injuries. And then Duncan Robinson is also dealing with the injury as well. So we'll see if those guys play. And the Wolves, they're completely healthy. Do you think they can take care of business tonight, guys? Obviously playing another shorthanded team here. Let's start with you, Matt.
Okay. Yeah, so first things first, want to shout out the chat. Love how active this chat is. Chris, I appreciate the kind words. It does happen to everyone. Everyone loses by a 0.5 every now and then. Or sometimes, you're winning with 14 seconds left and your team's up 14 and Benedict Mathurin decides to steal a ball and go throw it down as time expires. So it happens. You know what I mean? But back to this game, we're going to talk about the Heat against the Minnesota Timberwolves. And for me, I feel like I have to be with the Timberwolves here. Kind of to Ron's points earlier, this Timberwolves team does take care of these somewhat damaged and injured teams. They're just one of those squads. And, they're starting to click a little bit. They've won 3 in a row while being on the road. Now they come back at home, and it's against another damaged Heat team. This Heat team is going to be without Jimmy Butler. They're going to be without Tyler Herro. And when they're in those situations, they tend to look to, Max Strus and Bam Adebayo. And this is one of those spots for Bam Adebayo where I don't think it's a great spot. Rudy Gobert is a longer defender. He's someone who handles that middle pretty well. So I don't think Bam Adebayo has a great game unless he shoots good from the outside. So for that reason in itself, I'm going to go with the Minnesota Timberwolves here. And again, when you look at this Heat team, they're on a 4-game away road trip. They've lost all 3 games. And I personally feel like this might just be one of those games where let's just get home. This road trip has been bad enough. We don't have any of our guys. Let's just get home, regroup, and go from there. So I think this is a spot for the Minnesota Timberwolves to come in and take care of this. I know it's a -9-point spread. I know the Timberwolves are a very inconsistent team, and they're a tough team to put your money on. I'm probably not going to put my money on this game, I'll be honest with you. But when I do look at this spot, I do think it is a Minnesota Timberwolves spot. Someone like Anthony Edwards, who's probably the best scorer in that game, he's someone who can go off and get you 25, 30. Then you have someone like Karl Anthony Towns behind him. So I do think the Timberwolves have more scores. Obviously, the injury replacement theory doesn't really hold true for the Miami Heat here because they've been injured for so many games in a row. So again, I think this is just a damaged team. They want to just get home, regroup, and go from there. So if I were to go with any team here, it would be the Minnesota Timberwolves -9.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, to me, it's just like it is a stay away game for me. The only way that I can look is towards the Wolves, but I just can't put my money on a team that's only been beating shorthanded teams, especially with this big of a spread here. I also usually fade teams coming onto their first game at home off a long road trip, which is what's happening here tonight. And I just can't back this Heat team either, who I didn't think was good to begin with this season. And now they're dealing with an injury bug. So for me, this is a complete stay away game until the Heat get healthy. The Wolves actually show their true identity and play a solid team here. I don't know, man. There's no way that I could play either of these teams here, either on the side or the total perspective. Dr. Chuck, do you see anything in this one?
There's so much to unpack here. First off, you guys are burying the lead. Udonis Haslem is back, people. Like, this is, I mean, it's over. Take the Heat. Vincent Haskins, I thought I was going to call him a Cavs homer, but I want someone to book him. Will someone book him? Wolves by 50 and Cavs by 50 parlayed. Can someone book that for him, please?
Hey, Dr. Chuck, real quick, on Friday, he said, I remember he said, Devin Booker for 50. And they would win, and he was real close because Booker hit 49 that night, and they lost.
Tell me he got Embiid.
So
was he on Embiid? I don't know. Yeah,
that was a hell of a game too. That Jazz Suns game. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I remember him saying that. So
I totally see where both of you are coming from, because I see what happened to the Heat last night, and offensively, I think they're facing a tougher team than they just faced in Cleveland, even if Cleveland's turned it around a little bit. Obviously, the T-Wolves are less on defense other than Eiffel Tower. But where I look is, I just want to back that, lay that 8.5, 9. I think there's a pretty solid look on the T-Wolves in the first half here. I think this game is it has a feast-worthy prop potential. The only thing that would make me nervous is possibly getting their asses home and giving up type Heat spots. So you have to be wary of that too. I also think this is a pretty low total considering what the Heat did their last time out against the Wizards. They didn't win that game, but my God, they should have. And it was pretty much this same lineup. I don't know if Hero is out. I guess maybe we have more confirmed stuff. I think he's game time decision. I suppose it would be weird for him to come back in the final game of a road trip here. And like Ron said, I am loath to back teams just getting home. I mean, sometimes those are it's still the right spot because the team they're playing is this version of the Heat. But from what I saw in that Washington game, and I'm not saying Washington is any great shakes, although they should be, with Bradley Beal healthy and Monty Morris running the point, and Kyle Kuzma looking like maybe their best player with Kristaps, I think that was a more impressive game to basically lead for 95% of that game. I was kind of impressed with what the Heat did. So I actually kind of like the over here. You're getting a 220, maybe 220.5. The T-Wolves are going to put up theirs. The other night we backed them because of a previous game, and it was a situational spot. And we backed them specifically on the first half, and they put up 70 plus. Obviously, these are the type of spots where teams will come back down to earth as the game evolves. But, it still went over and 227 points last game. And so I think the pieces that the Heat put out there with Spo running the show, this Jovic kid is phenomenal, and we backed him on props. Rudy Gobert, for whatever reason, and this does kind of go against maybe scoring a lot of points, but the Heat shoot a lot of shots, and they shoot a lot of shots from deep. And we said they don't need Hero and Robinson in there to shoot from deep. Rudy Gobert needs a dozen rebounds, and it's normal vig on this play. I kind of worry that we're being duped there. I don't know what that would be about. The Heat, as Matt brought up, Bam Adebayo is not a guy that likes to play the 5-5. He doesn't. Gobert stays down there and grabs every rebound. He doesn't let some Josh Hart or, Steph Curry come down and take his rebounds. He gets the rebounds. And I find it hard to believe this isn't a 14-15 type floor on this spot that he could probably do in 3 quarters. So I like the over in this game. Honestly, if you're getting 220, I think this could accidentally go over in a very similar way to it almost would have gone over last night if the Heat had done a little bit more. And Rudy Gobert, amongst others. If you follow me, there's going to be, I'm very situational with props, like they said in the chat. Torrey Craig, the center that's playing against the Pistons, just book it every night. It's not with Marvin Bagley playing the 5. Situationally, I think this is pretty excellent to take a couple of these guys like Max Strus, who's probably going to be hung at just 2.5 threes. He'll probably put 3 threes in the basket by halftime, no matter what the score of the game is. So a lot of places to play this. Personally, I like the over, and I like Gobert absolutely just booked. And then there's some other leans as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know Minnesota plays a very fast pace as well. So they, like you said, they could accidentally go over.
Yeah.
Blowout potential, Mitch says in the chat there. Definitely possible with the line being this high and the Heat just being injured and dealing with that. So yeah, this one's a tough one for me, but we'll move on to the next game here. And this one's going to be a pretty good one, I think. Jazz versus the Clippers here. Jazz 12-6, first in the West. They're on a 2-game winning streak. This is their 3rd game in 4 nights, though. But with how they run their rotation, guys, I think I don't see how 3rd and 4 really affects the squad, because everybody plays like 25 to 30 minutes. No one goes above that, and it's just how deep that squad is. But they're gonna be without Conley for a little bit. He got injured, and last time Conley missed a game, they were on the 2nd game of back-to-back road to home games. They actually beat out the Grizzlies outright. Sexton had to start, and Beasley also played heavy minutes at the point guard position. So I think that's what's going to happen again tonight with Sexton starting. Clippers 10-7. They've won their last 2 games as well. They've actually won 7 of their last 10 games, but they weren't. When I look back at those wins, I don't see any big wins. I mean, to me, they beat the Rockets twice. They beat the Spurs twice. They beat the Lakers. They beat the Pistons. The one decent win was against the Cavs, but then the Cavs were missing Mobley, so that wasn't even a full squad. And then they have a key game up here against the Warriors up next on Wednesday. As far as injuries, talked about Conley already for them. The Clippers, Kennard is out, and Paul George, I believe, is questionable. And with how the Clippers kind of move around with this injury management stuff, we probably won't know until maybe 30 minutes before tip-off. What are you guys' thoughts on this one? Dr. Chuck, let's start with you here.
Yeah, I have discussed multiple times on various different shows that we put out basketball stuff that I mean, kudos to this team. 18 games in, this is insane, crazy, wild, and I've kind of made it. I've been watching them, trying to watch their games. Even though it's football season, I've been trying to watch the games to get a better feel on how this is even occurring, because good for them. I thought we were kind of looking at just not Rockets North or Thunder West. And this is just, it's smoke and mirrors. And so I saw the other night, and it really is. It's just kind of like a next man up. I mean, Mike Conley's out. It didn't even seem to matter. Malik Beasley puts in like 6 threes. But what I've said is there's going to be a point in time where I make it my job to fade the Jazz. And this maybe is one of those starting spots. I don't want Paul George to be out because this team is sneaky and everybody on the team is sneaky. They can shoot the 3 from top to bottom. Olynyk will put them in. So I don't know how to come in on the Jazz. It's right now, they're still a pass for me. They're either a fade or pass because I'm not backing them because the other shoe is going to fall. If it doesn't fall naturally, it will fall either from up top, the coach, the GM, the owner. This will turn at some point. It has to turn. This isn't a thing where this team ends up winning 67% of their games this season. Good 12-6 record. I'm impressed. I think the line speaks a lot to that because, as Ron said, you never know who is going to play. Anyone could sit at the last second. Anyone could be in at the last second. Paul George could put up 21 points in about 3 minutes and then not come back in the game any time. and that just keeps me from wanting to, fade the Clippers either. And so I want to give other people a platform to speak to this, but I would not be on the Jazz. I can't wait for the day where they still have a solid record and we can just fade them like it's our job and just wake up and bet against the Jazz, wake up and bet against the Jazz, because that day is coming.
Yeah, I mean, I think as long as they're dogs, it's going to be tough to do so, right? So they're still trying to get that respect from the books here. I don't know when that's going to happen because they're still dogs. I think they're as dogs this season. They're 10-3 straight up, 11-2 against the spread. So they're still taking care of business. Yeah. Until they get into position where they're the favorites. Then we can't fade them yet. I mean, from what I think, what do you think, Matt?
Yeah, so as we know, last Friday I was on the Jazz. That was one of my favorite plays. Had a 3-unit money line play on the Jazz when they were facing the Suns. And even when that game was close, it was just one of those games where when you were watching the Jazz, you were like, "There's no way they lose this game." Lauri Markkanen was too hot, making turnaround jumpers from the 3-point line. Malik Beasley making 5-6 threes. It was just one of those games the Jazz were not going to be beaten. Today, though, I'm on the other side. I like playing spots. I like playing situation. I think this is a Clippers spot here. I really do. And a lot of this does have to do with Mike Conley. Mike Conley got hurt last game. He played 9 minutes, ended up leaving the game. And, that is their primary point guard and their primary ball handler. To Ron's point, Malik Beasley came in last time, played the point guard. But again, Malik Beasley is not a true point guard. Colin Sexton is not a true point guard. He averages 3 assists in his career and 2 assists on the season. Jordan Clarkson, not really a true point guard. Although I will say he has elevated his assist game here. And, where was the chat? Mitch Armstrong, Jordan Clarkson over 2.5 turnovers plus 110. That's a really good look right there too, because he is going to get a ton of usage tonight. He does turn the ball over. And I do understand that Paul George is a game time decision right now. But last game, I do think that was somewhat precautionary. If you were watching that game, Paul George sat the rest of the game because of knee soreness, something along those lines, but was also throwing out T-shirts during the timeouts. So I don't think he's all that injured if he's throwing out T-shirts during the timeouts, And again, to Chuck's point, when looking at this Jazz team, I'm very, very impressed with what they've done. Guys like Lauri Markkanen, absolutely balling. Malik Beasley, I think he's had 24 points and 27 points the past 2 games. But with that being said, I just can't see this continuing all season long or even continuing for the next couple of games. I think this is going to be one of those down spots. Again, Malik Beasley putting up 24, 27. I like Malik Beasley. I think he was slept on for a while. But is he a 24, 27 point per game guy? Hell no. So he's going to drop off pretty good here. And I think, again, with Mike Conley, with Mike Conley not being in, they're missing 8 assists per game. And that's getting guys involved like Lauri Markkanen, even someone like Kelly Olynyk, who's hot and cold, Jordan Clarkson, Jared Vanderbilt. He is one of those guys who can get them involved. Now, without that, I don't know if they can have someone step up and really fill that assist role in particular. Now they're going against the Clippers, who are second in overall defensive adjusted rating. Okay. And yes, some of that does matter if Paul George in fact plays, because he's going to be rocking that shooting guard position with Kawhi Leonard playing that small forward. But with both of them in that lineup, even if they're getting 25 minutes or so, they can really do a solid job at locking those guards down. And if those guys, especially if Jordan Clarkson has an off game, if you can have Lauri Markkanen have an off game, this team is going to lose. So for me, I really do like the look of the Clippers here. I think this is a down spot for this Jazz team, who have won 2 games in a row, one being very emotional against the Suns, and then the other one beating the Trailblazers. So again, I like the Clippers here, and I would take the spread as well.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, the one way that shout out to Mitch, who is our show injury report guru here. I think he helped us out last week too as well. Levert is out. Love is game time decision. Wade is out. Harrow is out at a bio game time decision. A lot of injury stuff going on. While we pop off right now, and then probably another set of injuries around the 1:00 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Those are tough injuries to go to see. You always want to see the best players playing on the court, but it's always tough, and it's hard to cap these games when things happen as we break them down. But for me on this Clippers game, let's see, where was I at? Oh, I was looking at the under here. Clippers 14-3 to the under this season, including 7-0 to the under when the total is over 220. The Clippers continue to play a slow pace, the bottom third in the league in pace, second in the league in defensive rating, and then 29th in offensive rating. So a lot of that stuff balances out to a very good under team. I do think they do slow this Jazz team down a little bit, enough to get them under. I know obviously Mike Conley being injured, he was their primary ball handler. They're kind of general on the court, and without him, they're probably going to play a little bit of a less efficient offense, and they already turn the ball over at a very high rate. I think both of these teams actually turn the ball over at a high rate, and that kind of touches on the Clarkson turnover prop as well. 23rd and 24th in the league in turnovers, both averaging over 15 turnovers per game. From a spread perspective, Jazz are 10-3 straight up, 11-2 against the spread as dogs this season. That's kind of what I mentioned earlier. And on the total perspective from the Jazz side, 3-1 to the under at home when the total is under 225. To me, I just see both teams struggling offensively in this one. I would probably look towards the under and sort of a lean towards the Jazz here. I'm not gonna go against Matt, but it would just be a lean there, nothing too strong. I just still feel like they're getting disrespected by the books here, and they just continue to be dogs. And the Clippers wins, like I said earlier, they haven't really been convincing, right? They haven't played top tier teams in the last seven wins that they had. So for me, just lean towards the Jazz, but a stronger look towards the under there. A lot of the metrics that I'm looking at as far as pace and defensive efficiency, all pointing to the under for me. With that said, let's get to the best bet section here. Dr. Chuck, let's start with you and also talk about what you got going on in the premium side.
Yeah, I love this show, guys. Thanks for having me on here again. I would do this show every day. I think this is the best. We could probably, the three of us, if we weren't reined in, be on here until tip off. And so at least we do have a producer that does not let us ramble and people can actually get their plays in. I have a 10-unit play actually on $9 Monday out there today.
Oh boy.
And we're looking, it's actually an NHL spot, very situational, and our first ever actually 10-unit NHL play. And we already have some of our NBA up as well as a Monday night spot. So check us out, all access. Although today is probably the day definitely to push the $9. My 10-unit is $9, and go out there and get that and hopefully cash with us since of the SportsMemo cappers since the beginning of 2019, which is roughly the beginning of this. We are most units gained, most profit, return on investment in all NHL plays. So let's hope we can keep that going with our first 10 unit here. But yeah, I'm going very much. I have a lot of analysis to back it up for my best bet tonight, but a lot of it just has to do with Laddergate and the debacle that happened over the weekend with Trez, and everyone has probably weighed in, and everyone has exact opposite takes, and everyone has a hot take on one way or the other. And, anywhere from Giannis is a saint to Trez is a saint to Giannis should be banned from the league to the guy with the ladder should be able to hold Giannis down and kick him in the balls to just, anything has been said about the poor guy. But I love nothing more than these spots. This is unbelievable. So he gets to go back home. The guy gets to go back home, slough all this off, and just put it to a team that is number 30. When we're talking player props, we're talking fantasy for the most part, right? Matt knows this. This is what we're talking. Fantasy. The Blazers, the worst fantasy first opponent against fantasy NBA team against force, both points and rebounds. I like this in a lot of ways. I settled on Giannis over the 29.5 points. He played a Dameless Blazers team last season, midway through the season, right before the All-Star break. Dame wasn't there. They did have CJ McCollum. He only played 25 minutes because they absolutely were blowing them out, but he scored 29 points in those 25 minutes. He put up a 45 combo in that. Today, you're being told that his prop for points is 29.5. His props for points plus rebounds is 41.5, and his combo prop is 45 or maybe 46.5 at this point. I think they're all, as I would say with my plays, cookie talk, and I find it hard to believe that he's not going to come damn close to having 20 and 10 at the half. I don't think, Nurkic is mind-bogglingly weak down there sometimes. I mean, he can be out-rebounded by Josh Hart like he was a paper doll down there, and Giannis doesn't let that happen, and Giannis is not going to allow anything but to show his absolute best tonight. The team is still shorthanded, and he has to prove that he is that good guy, that good image, all the trashing he's taking in the media now from maybe just Philly fans, but there's still a lot of people that watch that video and think, what kind of garbage is this? And I think this guy, I find it hard to believe that normally you look at his props night after night, and maybe they're expecting a blowout because it was a blowout last time. I think the Blazers are more equipped to stay in the game. Simons is better. They have Grant. Eubanks steps in there when Giannis isn't in there and looks pretty solid. I think they're more equipped to, they're not relying on Tony Snell to hold the fort down when they get down by 30 points and Giannis doesn't have to come back in the game. So I just think when he's normally a 50.5, 51.5, 52.5, sometimes he gets up into higher than Jokic territories of 54.5, and you're being asked for almost a double-digit amount less than that. I think it's insane. I would take any of them, honestly. My two favorites are the points and the rebounds because he needs 30 points and 12 rebounds. 30 points and 12 rebounds cashes everything, and I just find that hard to believe. Just saying it out loud, it's even harder to believe. So I would take any of this stuff, and I think the Bucks probably win rather easily, but I think Giannis just propels himself to like a nearly 40-point game.
Yeah, I can see him kind of coming out here with some fire under him right now with all that stuff going on with the media. And definitely like that look a lot there. Matt, what's your best bet for today's show, and also what you got going on the premium side?
Yeah, so I just wanted to add, I really like that look as well. Anytime you get to go up against Jeremy Grant, who doesn't play that much defense, and anytime Giannis is pissed off, it's not a good sign for the other team. So, and Giannis is just one of those guys, anytime it's under 30, odds are in your favor. You could play that every single night and you're going to win at the end of the season. So again, yeah, really like that look. But for me, this one is going to surprise a lot of people, but I really, really enjoy the Clippers tonight. I am rocking with the Clippers as my best bet. Part of this too is I had to get off the player prop train. Too many last-minute injuries that have had us lose by 0.5. So let's roll with a spread this time. And again, like I talked about last time with the Spurs versus the Jazz, that was just one of those spots where the Suns versus the Jazz. That was one of those spots where you just wanted to go with the Suns. You were like, okay, why are the Suns +1 here? And I kind of feel this way about the Jazz. When you look at the Jazz, a lot of people are going to be like, why are the Jazz +3? Why are the Jazz +3.5? And again, I think it's because this is a very good spot for the Clippers. The Jazz have won those 2 games in a row, high output games. Now they don't have their top ball handler in Mike Conley, the guy who gets everyone involved, the guy who distributes the basketball. And I do, to Ron's point with his bet with the under, I really like that as well, because a lot of this is me thinking that the Los Angeles Clippers are going to be able to hold this Utah Jazz team down. This Utah Jazz team does have a lot of inconsistent shooters. I realize they've been more consistent this year, but at some point this is going to fall off. Lauri Markkanen, I love Lauri Markkanen. He's been playing some really, really good basketball, but I just can't see him continuing this all season long. Same with guys like Malik Beasley. He had 29 last game. Like, Good for him. He's a great bench player. He's someone he's a spark plug. He can get the game going, but at some point he's going to have an off game. And I think it's tonight against the Clippers. Same with Jordan Clarkson. And then you look at this mill with Kelly Olynyk against Ivica Zubac. Zubac should eat all over him tonight. He should get some offensive rebounds. He should be able to dish it back out to Paul George. And at some point, I got to assume Kawhi Leonard is going to have maybe a 15, 20-point game. He's going to show some flashes of his old self here. And when Paul George is in, when Kawhi Leonard is, this is a different defensive team. They are far, far better. They played the majority of this season without Kawhi Leonard and are still second in overall defense. So because of that, I do like this look at the Clippers. I think this is just a great spot for them once again at home. The Jazz already beat them here earlier this season too. So I think there's going to be some revenge on the mind of the Clippers on top of that. So again, I know I'm going against the grain here, but I'm with the Clippers.
Yeah, nice look there. Can't talk you off of that one. And obviously one thing that we want to know is just how we've been doing here on the best bet section of our shows. Regardless of how we do on our premium side, we've been giving out really great information. Hopefully we just continue to do that for our viewers here and continue to be one of the top shows on the Sports Memo channel. For me, my best bet, I'm going to go back and focus in on one of the games that we talked about earlier, the Cavs game, the Cavs and Hawks game here. And I want to focus primarily on that total. I like the over in this one. The Hawks on the road typically go over, and it's mainly due to the fact that their defense get worse and their offense gets better for some reason. So they're second in the league in offensive rating on the road this season, only behind the Celtics. Defensively, they're 25th worst defensive rated team on the road compared to 10th in the league at home. On the season, the Hawks are 6-1 to the over on the road as well. And their games combined for an average of 233.2 points per game in those spots. Cavs are actually a decent over team at home as well. They're 5-2 to the over this season at home, but 5-0 to the over when the total is over 217, or 217 or higher. So when the books think there's going to be some points scored in these Cavs home games, there will be points scored. Only 2 games that went under at home, their opponents were in the bottom third of the league in pace. All 5 home games that went over were against teams with a pace higher than 99, and the Hawks have a pace of 102 this season. So a lot of things to me are just pointing towards that over. That second unit, some of the fatigue factor as well kick in, and mainly those things affect the defensive side of the ball. Because when you're tired, who wants to play defense, right? Like, I mean, I played basketball my whole life, and that I never wanted to play defense. I always play offense. When I was tired, you needed those legs to kind of get for your shot to go in, right? But I don't know. Maybe the pros have a different mindset. And sometimes though, I mean, that's the things that I kind of see when I look at these trends and these trends and systems or situational spots when there's a lot of fatigue involved. I see a lot of overs because they're not focusing in on that defense. So to me, a lot of things pointing to the over. I think this might be a premium play. I haven't posted anything on the premium side yet, but I'm looking hard at 3 games. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously with the all access package, the 7-day all access package for Thanksgiving with no promo code, that's going to be the way to go, because there's the NFL, college basketball, college football, and the World Cup as well kicking off. USA is playing right now as we speak. So good luck to those guys. And I know Dr. Chuck and Moneyline Matt also, they touch on a whole bunch of different sports as well. So get the all access package, guys. That's the way to go here. And when cappers like us go on a streak where they got they kind of been on a little losing streak, it's time to get these packages, because they're gonna go on that winning streak. And hopefully that's the way that we go moving forward. So let's get Matt and Dr. Chuck back in here. Any last words? I think we do have a show on Wednesday, I believe, right? Or are we? I'm not.
I think you guys are on.
I mean, I'm always down.
I know we're off on Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if we have a show on Wednesday. I got to look at the schedule, but if not, any last words before we cut out?
No, I mean, I'm going to have some plays up today. I already have one play up. I'm definitely going to dive into these player props. Definitely going to have a Thanksgiving Day package as well. Wednesday show is a go, it looks like. So appreciate that. But yeah, so for Thanksgiving, I mean, who doesn't like hanging out with family, eating some food, getting a little drunk, and betting on some games? So I think all of us are going to have some plays up. So definitely check out myself, any of the other cappers. For me, that's what Thanksgiving's all about, just getting drunk, eating some food with the family, and watching some football. So if you need some plays, definitely going to have that up. And I play NBA every single day, just about. Yesterday was one of the first days that I took off, and it was just because I wanted to try and hone in on the NFL as much as I could, and ended up going 4-1. So it worked out pretty well. But again, guys, definitely going to have some more plays up, and really got to shout out the chat. Chat was awesome today. Yeah. Live as hell. I appreciate all the great information, comments, everything. So again, guys, shout you out. We wouldn't be here without you.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else, Dr. Chuck?
No, just good luck today, guys. I think there's value in getting all three of us. The stuff that we put out on here is great. I think we have even better stuff sometimes on the premium side, and there's, we can only fit so much in here, but there's a lot of plus EV plays on the slate tonight.
100%. All right, guys. Well, like Matt said, we will have a show on Wednesday, so we'll see you guys then. Good luck on all your action. Until then, peace.
Peace, y'all.